We got some hot teams. We got some struggling teams. We got the trade deadline, and we have a lot of FAAB to talk about. All coming up next in the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Happy Sunday night to everybody. I'm Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. Please, if you could rate and review the podcast, we really appreciate that. Jeff, how are you? We're getting to trade deadline time. It's going to be a fun week.
Yeah, exactly. And I love, Scott, that we had a couple of early trades.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, baseball's a lot better with the active trade deadline there. And early trades help spur later trades because teams have to react now a little bit more. Yeah, let's bring on the carnage. I love the trade deadline in every sport, but I especially love it in baseball because there's so many secondary, tertiary effects too. So many things that, opportunities that can open the door for us.
Yeah, when you get such big rosters, like you move one guy, there's so many moving parts to that. How do you deal with that fantasy wise? We're actually obviously here to talk fantasy baseball. Are you like making kind of a wait and see kind of guy where you're like, I don't want to drop this guy yet because he might get traded, might open up a spot? Are you like speculating on some closers? Because I felt like there's a lot of relief pitchers that are kind of on the fence whether they're going to get moved or not, depending on how teams do this last week before the trade deadline. But it feels to me like there's a lot of closers that it's going to be the spot that's really going to affect fantasy leagues.
Yeah, like for instance, Pittsburgh, David Bednar is someone that you should probably try to dive into a little bit there. If Dennis Santana isn't rostered already, you should probably try to roster him. He may not be the guy though. That's the thing. It's like he might be dealt too.
I was going to say, there's a lot. If they did deal Bednar, they might just deal Santana also.
Yeah. So Isaac Matson's a guy I kind of looked at in some places a little bit. I dug in a little bit too on like Baltimore, for instance. There, Felix Bautista just went on the IL with the shoulder inflammation thing. I don't know how serious that's going to be. They already traded away Gregory Soto to the Mets, so it's Sir Anthony Dominguez, but he's a free agent. They've got Kittredge on a 1-year deal, but they've got a team option. I think it's a team and not a player option on him. That probably matters actually because he's relatively affordable and he's pitching well right now. So in AL only towers, I did pick up Kittredge. Dominguez was already rostered in that league. Why not take a chance?
Yeah, I was more Kittredge too. I just think that Dominguez gets dealt as well. I mean, I just think that the Orioles are pretty much done with this season. I just have to think that if they can get something for Dominguez, maybe they can't, but if they can, like that's a prime piece to move right there.
Yeah, if you're in an AL only league, go ahead and be aggressive on Naylor. I would say I don't like that he's in Seattle, obviously, in terms of the power profile. But he'll have free reign to run. He stole 2 bases today in one sequence. So that was pretty useful if you have him. I was aggressive in my only home league. That trade happened on Thursday night. We have Thursday night FAAB run. So it got in before our FAAB was due. So I did pick up Josh Naylor there. Thinking instead of waiting for maybe something slightly better to come along, you take the first one you can get is the way I look at it there, especially if you can use the player at all. As long as if you're loaded at first base, okay, fine. Then don't go crazy. Like I had a league, an NL league when Devers got traded where I had Austin Riley and Eugenio Suarez. Now Riley has since gotten hurt and come back. Suarez might be dealt. We'll see what happens there. But at the time, like let someone else blow their FAAB money on that just because of the way it worked out there. But absent a circumstance like that, don't wait for the perfect if you've got the hammer or if you've got a chance to add somebody that's an impact player right away.
Although Naylor's hitting behind Cal Raleigh in the lineup, which means he's going to come up with the bases empty pretty much every time he comes up.
Unless they start walking him a little bit more. But yeah,
more of a joke that Raleigh hit 2 more bombs and now he has 41 home runs. Very sneaky, but we'll talk about Aaron Judge in a second. But Cal Raleigh, those MVP odds are getting shorter and shorter by the minute. Every day that Judge misses and Raleigh plays, he's moving past Judge.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you brought that up because we were talking about the MVP odds earlier, and I was like, oh yeah, it's got to be Judge. But of course, there's an injury, and that could change things. And Raleigh's he's continued, and I just didn't think he would continue at this pace. But oh my gosh, he hasn't stopped. It's amazing to watch. J-Rod heated up over the weekend too. If he can heat up a little bit too, keep that going. That could be pretty dangerous. However, their pitchers got knocked around pretty good this weekend by the Angels too. So, it just shows take them out of T-Mobile and almost uniformly, they all have massive home road splits. Woo's still got great road numbers, but even he's got a pretty big home road split too. They love pitching in T-Mobile.
Yeah, that's a great place to pitch. Everybody, the hitters talk about how it's tough to see the ball there. But Mariners and Rangers, 4 back of the Astros. Astros at home this weekend against the A's. You got to figure they win 3 out of 4 in that series. Instead, they got swept. We'll talk about Nick Kurtz, but A's came in and swept the Astros. They did a lot of good for the Mariners and Rangers this weekend. Rangers have now won 6 in a row, 4 back. A team that we talked about last week is, are they buyers? Are they sellers? We talked about how one good week can do it. And one good week, the Rangers are clearly buyers now.
And if you had been paying attention to their offensive numbers, say in the last 30, 40 days, you'd see they started already coming around a little bit there. They are no longer the team you could stream against pretty readily. And a lot of it has to do with Corey Seager being healthy and producing. It's not solely that, but that's a big starting point for it there. That, you talk about what they've done so far. And he's a big catalyst in the offense. Marcus Semion's hit much better in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, maybe. There's still some disappointing hitters on this team, but they've also cleared some of the dreck from the roster. They've got, a healthy Wyatt Langford helps, a healthy Evan Carter helps a little bit. It's now performing more what they've expected, and yet the ERA is like a parsec better than the rest of the league.
Yeah, you look at runs allowed, and it's just crazy. There's 2 teams under 400 runs allowed, them and the Royals, and they're still 30 runs better than the Royals. Their pitching staff has been unbelievable all year long.
Yeah, and the Royals are going to probably slide back. They just lost Kris Bubic over the weekend. That's a tough one. Still no Cole Reagans. Even Lorenzen getting hurt, that just takes away from the length of that rotation. Interesting, though, Scott, that the Royals kind of indicated they're not going to be sellers by coming to that extension with Seth Lugo. Yeah,
that was going to be one of the bigger starting pitching pieces on the market that we thought. Royals are 2 games under 500, pretty far behind the Tigers, and just felt like maybe Lugo was going to be a prime piece. So they signed him an extension this afternoon, and I like that. I like when guys stay with teams, and I think that's I like when teams go for it. They're 2 games under. I don't know if this is a move for this year or a move for the next couple of years, but a good sign that they're not going to sell off big time at the deadline.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by this because I thought they could have been sellers and they could have gotten a lot from Lugo, I would have thought. Although the fact that he would have been a rental makes it harder to do that, unless he agrees to that extension with the new team too, but somehow ahead of time, which I don't think you can do. By the way, Billy Hayes mentioned in the chat talking about the Rangers there. Josh Jung coming back and hitting well is also a big key to that. The Rangers surging. I agree with that. Yeah, good point by Billy. I like carnage at the trade deadline. I wanted to see Lugo go to a team, see what happens. Like Lugo to the Cubs would have been a natural fit. So from that standpoint, I want more trades. I was disappointed, but as a fan of a small market team, I'm also kind of happy. And, my brother and my dad are Casey Royals fans too. So I'm happy for them.
So on the flip side of the Rangers, who won 6 straight, 9 of 10, clearly are in the mix now. On the complete opposite of that, what about the Rays? The Rays lost 4 games. They got swept this weekend. They're now 10 games behind Toronto, who, crazy enough, Toronto has the best record in baseball. I don't know when that happened, but clearly over the last month, they've been awesome. But the Rays are now 10 back. They've lost 4 in a row. Are the Rays sellers? And if so, they have some really interesting pieces they could move.
Yeah, that's right. And, it's interesting to see that, how quickly some of these have changed. Like Arizona sweeps the Cardinals. Okay, they're in. Oh, get swept by the Astros. Okay, they're out. They're selling. At the top there's a lot of changes. In the middle there's a lot of changes. It's been a very weird year for trying to analyze the trade deadline. But yeah, they should be at least contemplating that. Considering too, they're going through a franchise sale right now. They're playing in Steinbrenner Field, making and as bad as their attendance has been in the Trop, it's by definition worse in a minor league ballpark. They're making less revenue this year. Next year, they dropped their new stadium deal with the city of St. Petersburg. They're trying to get a different deal now, maybe in Tampa County is what I'm hearing instead of St. Petersburg County. So, finances might matter is what I'm getting at here, that they may have to think about trying to save a little bit of money. Zach Littell is a natural. They did just send down Taj Bradley, which means, are they giving up on him, or is this maybe a kick in the butt and call him back up after Littell gets traded?
The quotes are kind of interesting. It was more like he needs to develop a third pitch is what the quote said. It was like he's kind of a 2-pitch guy. And I was surprised they said that kind of that outwardly and openly and honestly, but it seems like they really think he needs to develop a little bit before he can be really effective. It was weird timing. He was terrible this week against the White Sox, but prior to starts, he was 1 earned run in 12 innings and kind of turned it around a little bit. And I was surprised by the ship out. I know they've been looking for a spot for Joe Boyle to come pitch. He'll pitch this week against I think he's against the Dodgers. He gets Yankees and Dodgers this week. That's an interesting 2-step for Boyle.
And then the Yankees again after that, if I'm not mistaken.
Brutal. But I know Bradley has been a disappointment. I'm a Taj Bradley fan, but I was surprised they sent him out. But I think that Yandy Diaz would be an interesting name. There, they were talking about a little bit in the Sunday Night Baseball game tonight that Diaz is signed through 2026, so he'd be like not a pure rental, a year and a half rental, but he's someone that could. He's 34 years old. If you're rebuilding, like he doesn't really fit in, but still a pretty good player. Has had a good year. He could really slide into it to first base or DH for someone pretty easily. It'd be a nice piece.
Yeah, it sure would. I absolutely. And check, by the way, to see if Boyle's available. In some leagues, Boyle might still be hovering around a little bit there.
He was available in my 12-team online championship, and I was outbid. He was definitely my top bid, though. I would the schedule on paper looks pretty rough, but you look at the K numbers, and it's you can figure out a way to get him on your team.
Yeah, for sure.
He's been awesome in the minors.
Yeah, you worry about lengthening games. I think he's gone like 3 1/3. I think how long has he gone? I'm not sure exactly how long he's gone, but I know it's not super deep into games yet, so that might be something that we run into a little bit there. I thought he was available in one of my leagues, but I think I was gravely mistaken, unfortunately.
He went 3 in his last start and the 2 before. He did go 5 on July 6th.
That was the Twins game, right?
That was the Twins game. Good call in Minnesota, 7 strikeouts. Then he went 4 against Boston, 2 against Toronto. Didn't start that game. And then the White Sox too. He didn't start any of those games, but he did go 5 against Minnesota coming in. I think he piggybacked on Rasmussen that game.
Yep.
So we talked about the A's sweep and the Astros. We got to talk about the Nick Kurtz game real quick. That was it's funny because Jeff passed in that tweet. Like you can kind of make an argument as the greatest single offensive game of all time, which is pretty wild. There was a stat that he did like 5 things in the game that no one has ever done over the course of their career in one game. He did it all in one night. I know the last time I was off a position player before someone says that, but man, Nick Kurtz has been awesome. He's been the best hitter in baseball in July. Like he's going to win player of the month in July. His OPS is 1,500 in July. It's in an unbelievable month. What happens with him? I mean, obviously it depends what happens next couple of months, but like how high is he going to go? Someone asked me, would I rather have him or Vlad in the Dynasty? I got that question on Twitter that night we were talking about it. He might end up the best first baseman in fantasy by the end of the year. He's kind of getting past Olsen and Vlad right now. How high can Nick Kurtz get in 2026 drafts? This has been an unbelievable start to his career.
It is pretty wild. I mean, the thing is, what's he at 24 now? And in his rookie season, he could be a 40 home run guy year after year after year.
And he missed he wasn't up for the first month this season.
Yeah. Friend of the RotoWire colleague Ryan Roof has been sending aggressive trade offers to me in the RotoWire Staff Keeper League for Kurtz. And
I knew you had Kurtz in the main event. You got Kurtz in Keeper too. That's sweet.
It's way more sweeter there. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's because of my main. But I've turned them all down because Bryce Eldridge is a highly rated prospect, for instance. But you're hoping becomes a facsimile of Kurtz. You're hoping in a worse ballpark to hit it. Yeah. And so and it was way more than just Eldridge in this deal. I don't want to demean Ryan's offers, but I can't. He's just one of those untradeable assets in a keeper league like that. It's like when he's not quite. It's not like Mike Trout or anything in his rookie year where you're like, oh my God, I hit the gold mine because he ran too. Kurtz isn't going to do that, and hitting for average, we'll see about that. But still, it's so nice. Does he go? I'll set an over under at 29.5 in the main event next year. Over under. Where does he go?
Obviously impossible, not only last couple months. I'm going to go over just because I think the 31% strikeout rate is going to come back to bite him here at some point. I think the 309 is pie in the sky. He's hitting 380 at BABIP right now. So I think maybe he settles in at 265, 270. But I mean, if he hits 40 home runs in whatever that is, I don't know, 5/6 of a season, whatever he missed the first. He hit 21 games in AAA. Hit 8 home runs there too, by the way. So he has 31 bombs in the year so far. His at-bats are impressive, though. The way he goes to left field, you saw it in the game in Houston. Like he just kind of, if he had played in Houston, my God, he could kill the Crawford boxes the way he flips the ball to left field. But it's been impressive. It's been fun. I think the strikeouts will probably keep people off taking him in the second round, but man, he's been awesome. It's been really, really fun. The A's have some fun offensive players. They have 0 pitchers, although JT Ginn looked good today. We'll talk about him in a bit. But with Soderstrom and Butler and Langoliers and Kurtz, they have a really good middle lineup that are all young and all fun.
Yep. One other Kurtz note, and then we'll move on. And that is the Rookie of the Year. The AL Rookie of the Year, the voting was like, I mean, not voting, but the odds for like Jack Wilson were minus 500 at one point. I may be overstating the case, but point is,
I actually don't think you are. I think it was around there.
It was prohibitively huge, and now Nick Kurtz is minus 1,800 on the DraftKings Sportsbook, minus 1,400 at FanDuel. We're talking Ohtani MVP odds almost here. That's how much it is. Ohtani actually, that's putting that to shame. Ohtani's minus 2,000. He's minus 20.
Is Ohtani minus 2,000? Oh my gosh.
I mean, who's the number 2 in the NL? Is it PCA? Is it Schwarber? It's
probably Schwarber, but yeah, PCA fantasy wise there, but probably Schwarber, voting baseball wise. But if Ohtani's healthy all year, he's going to win it. But still kind of crazy. He's minus 2,000.
Right. I got one more Kurtz thing here.
Please.
Friend of the program, great podcaster himself, Rob DiPietro's in the chat. Rob, chime in the chat. Where do you see Kurtz going in main events next year? Does he get past the second? Does he get out of the second round? Does he get into the third round? Or where would you draft him? I want to hear from you if you can chime in there. But I'd love to see that there. But as Rob says, we have a meatball draft coming up, and it's not a mock. It is the one they play out, by the way, folks.
Did he just say that draft's in 24 days? Did I read that right?
I think so. That tracks from where it's like
middle. That's like middle of August. You're drafting for next year. That is, I love it. But they're freaks. But I love it.
Yes, 24 days. There you go. Easy second. Rob says. All right, I love it.
All right,
good.
I'm gonna go over, but someone's gonna probably want to try and do it. But
yeah, you. By the way, check out Pull Hitter. Check out Dead Pull Hitter, please. I implore you to check out everything Rob does. Great stuff.
I second that one. I wouldn't be able to run my FAAB every weekend if it wasn't for Pull Hitter. I would suggest anybody who plays any kind of FAAB league subscribe to his Patreon because it's incredible FAAB content there.
Yep.
So someone I want to ask you about 2026 a little bit also is Riley Greene in Detroit, having an incredible year. But there's some issues lately. He has a 41% strikeout rate the last 30 days. I was doing some searching over kind of the last month or so. It's now up to 33% of the year. It's a really high strikeout rate. He's mashing though. 25 homers, 80 RBI, obviously on this Detroit team that's been really good up until lately. They've been a little struggling lately, but 55 runs scored. He's hitting 274. That comes with a 360 BABIP though. Walk rate is down from 11% to 6.5%. So there are a lot of there's a few things here that you can kind of pick some nits here. But what do you do? What do you think about Riley Greene right now? Obviously, the numbers are huge. He's a young stud. We were waiting for him to come up. He's only 24, but man, these strikeouts are starting to worry me. It's getting really high and it's getting worse lately.
It is. He's still, he struck out 156 times last year. It's not completely out of the blue. The problem is, the walks have gone way down too at the same time. And that's the thing that bothers me. It's just bad batting eye altogether there. Digging into the numbers, 6.5 walk percentage. It was 11 last year. So he's getting found out, or he's not seeing the ball as well, or something that is there. And I kind of think, the Tigers, they got off to such a prohibitive lead that they've been able to withstand this stretch. Hey, they're still, I got an 8-game lead, I think, over the Guardians, if I'm reading that right.
Yep.
So yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. We know this, but it's not just the pitching, Scott. The hitting has kind of dropped off recently too. And I do worry about that a little bit. They finally won today against the Blue Jays, but the Bunsen burner hot Blue Jays. But still, I've got some concerns about the Tigers and their viability.
Yeah, it was funny because I was searching by strikeout rates, who's striking out a lot. I couldn't believe the 41.1% on Greene over the last month. It's tough. He's gonna have to figure it out. But obviously, I think he was hot. The league maybe adjusted to him. He's gonna have to adjust back. Obviously, a really fun young player. But I'm interested to see what his last 2 months look like because it's a little bit of a struggle at the moment. Speaking of struggle, you got any concerns right now about Logan Webb? He's on multiple of my teams. It was looking really good early. His last 5 starts have been really rough. 6.67 ERA in 28 innings. He's now up to 3.38 on the year, 1.24 WHIP. It's definitely going the wrong direction. You see this as just a kind of month-long blip that a lot of guys have, or you any real concerns here?
There's always concerns because it's a pitcher. It's always something can break. But there's always these ebbs and flows in the season too. So I'm kind of divided on that.
Yeah.
I think I'm concerned, but not actionably concerned. If that makes sense. Like I'm still going to roll them out every single time.
I am too. I have him in the main event, and he was my last ace standing because I had Pablo Lopez and Corbin Burns, and it's rough when you get two guys hurt and then the third starts to have a 7 ERA. But I'm rolling him out there too. I watched his last start. It just seemed like kind of everything. A few things were falling. He's getting more hard contact than usual. But I still love Logan Webb. The strikeouts are up from last year, highest they are since 2021. The walks are down. I still think there's a lot of really good stuff in here. I kind of think of it kind of just a rough patch. Like you mentioned, a lot of guys go through that. But I'll be watching these next couple starts pretty closely because we need to see a turnaround pretty quick here.
For sure. Question for you. I was in the forum here. I thought we'd address real quick. Jermaine 34 asks, what do you think about Misiorowski going forward? You concerned about that 3 2/3 inning outing there? I think it was a lot to do with the All-Star break and how he pitched in the All-Star game. And yet he didn't really have a full thing. And we heard the management talking about how it be unfair for him to try to expect him to go a full start. So it's preordained that they limited him there. Joe Sheehan had a really good article about it there, disputing what they did and talking about how we're over babying pitchers. And this is someone from a baseball perspective, and I tend to agree with Joe that you see some pitchers never see the 5th inning in the minors, and the way they're handling that. I'm concerned that they'll do it again a little bit, but not really. I think the Brewers had the luxury of being able to do that too. They could just say, you know what, we're rolling right now. Let's make sure we kind of take it, kid gloves with the first start out of the break. It was preordained that he wasn't going to go more than 65 pitches. They didn't tell us that, of course, because they wouldn't tell us that, because why would they? But
right.
Yeah, it's annoying, but I think it's a one-off. Well, we'll see in his next start coming up here.
I do not think it'll be a one-off. I think it'll be a maybe once a month off. I think they will.
That's fair.
I think that's what they'll do. I mean, he threw 97 1/3 innings in the minors last year, and he's now at 92 innings so far this year. So he's almost at what he pitched last year. If they're going to make any kind of run in the playoffs, and the Brewers have really struggled in the playoffs, we talked about how they make it and haven't really advanced much lately. They're going to need him. He's their guy. Like, he's the guy that you want out there throwing 6-7 innings in the playoff start. I think they're going to have to manage his innings down the stretch here. I agree with a lot of the babying stuff, but I think he throws 103. You want to make sure. I think maybe every 3 or 4 starts, you're going to get kind of an abbreviated outing from him is what they'll do the rest of the way. They're not going to tell us, as you mentioned. And I think you got a guy that has a 2.5 ERA and a whip under 1. I think you kind of eat some 3 and 4 inning starts during the year, but I think it's going to work out in the end. But I do think we're going to get, we'll definitely probably get 3, 4, 5 more of these maybe down the stretch, maybe 3 or 4.
Keep in mind, the Brewers are going to go 6-man, bringing Nestor Cortez back on Friday. So that might also kind of influence their way they handle them, because they're going 6-man. They may be less inclined to do that to shorten.
That's a good point. Yeah, because you said if you buy like an extra start or 2 if you do that for a while over the course of time. And I guess it's funny because you look at it and I don't know who they would take out, because Jose Quintana has a 3.5 ERA right now. Like, probably not pulling him. Priester's been good. Woodruff obviously just back. Peralta's been really good, and
it's Nestor or nothing. Really,
it's Nestor or nothing. You're right. It's Nestor or nothing. But if he looks like old school Nestor Cortez, it's a really good problem to have.
Yeah, and they still have Logan Henderson just cooling his heels in the minors.
Oh, you're right. He's like starter 7 right now.
Yeah, and Chad Michael Patrick Thomas Jr. Whatever I was calling him there, he was very serviceable too. So they've got like 8 pitchers. Pretty nice.
I like how you pretend you're not one big One Tree Hill fan by pretending to butcher the name of Chad Michael Murray.
I was trying to kind of combine like 7 different 90s.
every 90s teen pop star in the mix.
Yeah, pretty much there.
Last question for you before we jump into some news and some FAAB here and talk about next week. Cristopher Sanchez. We're talking a little bit about 2026. We talked about the meatball draft coming up. Still amazing to draft in 24 days. Cristopher Sanchez has been unbelievably good. He was he's a big hype guy in the offseason, has lived up to every iota of that hype so far. 2.40 ERA, 109, 124 innings, getting better too. 1.54 ERA since June 1st. Sanchez a top 10 pitcher next year in drafts. Got to be, right?
Yeah, got to be. He was a helium guy that wasn't helium enough.
Yeah. We always talk about helium and be careful of that, but you're right. He didn't go high enough because he's been He's been awesome. I mean, him and Wheeler together. I know Wheeler struggled a little bit today against the Yankees, but he and Wheeler, I mean, you talk about two aces. They have been unbelievably good. And then, Luzardo's either an ace or the worst pitcher in baseball, depending on the day. I mean, it's one or the other. There's never
depending what inning he's pitching.
Yeah, you're right. I think I tweeted earlier. Nobody blows up faster. I think he had 4 shutout innings this week, and then gave like 6 runs in like Boston 90 game. Seconds.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible. I mean, it was. I think it was a little defensive aided, or but still, he also
someone who was it? Someone had a bad play out there.
Wasn't it Real Muto?
I think it was Real Muto. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Sanchez. Please stay healthy. He added that velocity, and I can see some tweets in my future about he added the velocity and then he got hurt, something of that nature there. So I can see that happening too. But please stay healthy.
Jeff, question in the chat for you: Ryan Pepio or Joe Boyle the rest of the way?
Ooh, I go Pepio because I don't know how many innings Boyle can throw. I don't know if when he gets stretched out to go deeper into games, does he continue to improve his control, or does he, as he gets extended into games? I think Pepio is a little safer.
I'd go Pepio too. I might be a little biased after watching Joe Boyle walk everybody imaginable pitching for the A's last year. He had a 70% walk rate with the A's, but he has cut that in half this year, at least in his major league innings. I know he's been really good in the minors. I mean, his numbers in the minors are crazy. The walks have been still there, though, which is my concern. It's been 10.5% there. I know he has a 33% strikeout rate in the minors, but I go Pepio just because I think Boyle will have some, like you said, getting through 5 when you're on a pitch count and you walk a lot of guys just gets really tough pretty quick.
Yeah, and I mean the Rays still have a bunch of games on the road.
That's true.
They've made up some of the stagger, but not really. I think they played 59 games at home and 48 on the road after today. They've lost. They're really struggling on the road lately, though. And down to 500 as a result of that.
Yeah. So let's jump into whatever this is, week 19, I think. But first, real quick, a note from the NFFC. The NFFC RotoWire Fantasy Football Online Championship is now live. Play fantasy football against your favorite RotoWire experts on NFFC this football season. Jeff Erickson, Nick Whalen, and more, including me, will compete in the RotoWire NFFC Online Championship for a shot at $250,000. Sign up for a draft today at rotowire.com/high stakes. That's rotowire.com/high stakes.
By the way, I have the Beat Jeff Erickson draft on Wednesday, and last I checked, there are plenty of spots available. Guys, this is a cushy spot. You want to go?
I was going to say, it sounds like people are scared of you.
I think it's, maybe they just didn't find it there. I tweeted out the link, but you can just use, it's Wednesday, 8:00 Eastern, 5 p.m. Best Coast. I'm going to be distracted. This is a perfect time to jump in right now. Before I've gotten a really good feel exactly how I want to, where I want to draft some players. So come on, good spots still available. Get a chance at that grand prize. Rotowire.com/high stakes, or just look for look for my tweets on the Beat Jeff Erickson draft too. I will tweet that out again. We'll mention again on the Sirius XM show. Come on, water's still warm.
I've got to figure out who all the rookies play for. That's my big problem right now.
Yeah.
I hear names. I'm like, don't know who he plays for yet. I got to figure that out. Time to watch some training camp at NFL Network, I suppose. I start to get ready. But week 19, we've got 6 teams in the American League with 7 games. The AL East plays a lot of games this week. Jays, Orioles, Rays, and Yankees with 7. Mariners and Rangers with 7. Jeff, our Reds are home all week. Is that right?
Checking, trust but verify. Yes.
Oh, well, I guess one of those games is in Tennessee at the Speedway, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Saturday game against the Braves. Yeah. And they are not playing on Sunday as a result of that. Did you see the layout on that, by the way, at Bristol?
Yeah, it looks really funky, but probably really fun to watch for one game.
Like really short in left field and really deep in right field.
Like right center looked like the Polo Grounds or something. Yes. It was so far out there. It's crazy.
And they're going to have like 85,000 fans, so that should be pretty cool.
Yeah, we didn't talk a lot about our Reds, Jeff, but they're hot right now. They're playing really well, playing good baseball. Got a sweep this weekend. It was fun.
But here's the thing: they did that, but yet they also lost 2 out of 3 to the Nats earlier in the week, and that's just my problem with the Reds. But they are playing better ball right now. You're right about that. I mean, I think they're at a season high 6 over 500 now.
Yep.
So yay Reds.
Emilio Pagan, 22 saves.
Yeah. I only picked him up in a couple places. I didn't believe he'd be the full-time guy. I was wrong about that. 1 game out of the wild card behind the Padres, and the Giants keep on losing. They're looking pretty rough. The Cardinals 3.5 out now in the wild card. Be useful if they started selling. the Diamondbacks are now 6 out. I was really hoping that the Cardinals could do some damage to the Padres, but at the same time, I'm like, well, that gets the Cardinals out of the race and gets them to sell Helsley or something like that. That would be useful. So we'll see.
It's kind of crazy. We do this all the time preseason, but like we were so worried about the Giants had too many pitchers. Where's Birdsong going to go? Where's Rupp going to go?
Yeah,
they called up like Ken Wisenhunt's nephew to pitch tomorrow. I don't even know who this guy is. Carson Wisenhunt. Is that who his name is? Yeah, Carson Wisenhunt. I actually don't know if he's related to Ken, by the way. So just don't fact check me on that.
Wisenpunt, yes.
That's right. Wisenpunt was the worst.
Great nickname.
But like they threw a bullpen game today, and like Bob Melvin was like, I don't know who's going to pitch tomorrow. I don't have an answer for you. It's like Verlander, Webb, and Ray, and then kind of who the heck knows. It's funny how just fast it cycles on you.
Yeah, it really is, and it's kind of crazy that the Giants didn't have like a AAA veteran just to call up. Wisenhunt is a prospect, by the way. Paul Sporer jumps in here.
Paul's ruining all my jokes now.
Yeah.
Now he's a legit prospect. I got.
But actually, guys,
I gotta study him.
But actually,
I obviously I didn't look at it too much just because we couldn't pick him up this week because he wasn't available in leagues. But at least the leagues I play in. But it's they're looking for guys right now. The Giants are a mess, but it was a fun series against the Mets. Did you watch the game last night at all?
Last night I did not.
Giants are down 1. Jung Lee hits a ball that was out in down 1. A ball out in 29 of 30 stadiums off the top of the wall, and then line drive by Patrick Bailey to end the game where Alonso jumps up and snares it. Like it was Diaz got 3 balls hit hard, should have been a home run, and they somehow won the game. It's just how the Giants are going right now.
Yeah, it is.
Kyle Harrison's in Boston for whoever's asking. Billy Hayes asked what's wrong with Kyle Harrison. He's in Boston, so Giants can't call him up anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
As
is Jordan Hicks, who got the save today.
He did.
Well, but Chapman had a back issue. Afterwards, he kind of blew it off and says, no big deal. Alex Cora said the same. But at the same time, it was, where that Hicks is next in line, at least today he was.
The Chapman news was so weird because he was like down 4 miles an hour in velo.
Yeah.
There was one report that he was like throwing up after he came out, and I don't know what it has to do with his back tightness, and then all of a sudden I was just sure it was an arm thing, but it turned out to be back tightness. I want to actually see him get up and pitch in a game before I believe that.
Do you think that's like code for a hangover or something like that?
I mean, if you're throwing up and your back hurts, like that does sound hungover right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, Chapman's been awesome too. Like he's been really legit good. If Boston got hot enough lately, where obviously I don't think they trade him, but man, he would have been a huge trade chip. It just has been so good. But they're 7 games over and right in the mix now. So obviously not gonna deal now. But if they lose him, that would be a big loss. That would be he's been really good. So nice schedule this week. We talked about the Reds home for 5.5. We don't know how Bristol no, it's not Bristol. Is it Bristol? No, I don't.
It is Bristol.
It is Bristol. We don't know how that park's going to play. Someone asked early in the chat about the park factors there. I have to admit that I don't have an answer for that one. Dodgers have
never played a game there before.
Never played the game there.
0 park factors.
Dodgers have a really good setup this week. 3 at Cincy, 3 at Tampa. Really good hitting setup for the Dodgers this week. Yankees look good too. 4 at home against the Rays and 3 at Miami. The A's are home for 6 too. You talk about park factors. That Sacramento park has delivered as much as we possibly wanted it to in terms of offense. It has been a great place to hit. I think it's just behind Coors in 2025 park factors. They get 3 against Seattle, 3 against Arizona. Really good setup for the A's to score a ton of runs this week.
Let's hope that Nick Kurtz fatigue thing today was just a one-off, just giving him a day off sort of thing.
Speaking of code for hangovers.
Yeah. Maybe so.
When you have the greatest game in history, you probably had a couple beers after it.
Well, that was 2 days ago. Then he had 2 hits on Saturday, and then he finally, okay, we'll give him a day finally. But they mentioned something about lower leg though, so it was like it's not like a complete hangover excuse. I think this time.
Yeah, I did read the same thing, and I'm hoping it was just a day. I think that it was probably a good time for it. But they do play. I guess it's kind of a half cross country flight going from Houston over to Seattle. But Houston's further away than you think. So that's actually a pretty long flight. But they do play tomorrow night in Sacktown, or they call it West Sacramento. Sorry, you just have to make that designation. But some other good sets up. The Jays, we mentioned they're hot right now. 4 at Baltimore, 3 against the Royals. That's a really good setup too. So there's a lot of good setups. In the Tampa is, we mentioned, 4 at the Dodgers, 4 at the Yankees, 3 home against the Dodgers. So a lot of good setups this week. Should be a lot of runs, especially in AL East games.
Yep. Yeah, there should be. And hey, more games. I just want you gotta get some NL teams with 7-game weeks. It's the trade deadline week. It's perfect sense to not have games on Thursday.
There's not a lot of games on Thursday. They do that on purpose. This week was the same way. There was a lot. There was like 5 games on Thursday this week. But yeah, you're right. There are very few games. There's only like 6 games on Thursday. Yeah, it's really, really light schedule, but that does make sense. Speaking of the AL East, Jeff, as we get into news and notes, the biggest news over the weekend was Aaron Judge, 10-day IL with a flexor strain. Seems like all the reports are this is as good as possible as results from the MRI. No ligament damage. There was some Tommy John concerns in there at first, and we obviously didn't want that. Seems like Judge will miss the minimum, but maybe it lingers a little past that, but not a super long-term injury. Very, very thankful on that one.
It's a good thing that injuries never last longer than teams initially expect or say anything. And, especially the Yankees, especially the Astros. Did you see today, Isaac Perez?
We joked about last week. It's like every time it's coming. And by the way, Jeremy Pena is still not back. He was supposed to be like maybe before the All-Star break. He's still not playing.
I'm aware of that. Very aware of that. I have him in 2 critical leagues where it's just really, and I may have denied myself a trade for a shortstop in one of those leagues where I was like, I'm going to get him back in a week anyhow. And nope.
I did too. I picked up Dubon because I'm just going to get him in case Pena's not back. That way I can play him. And he does nothing. It's like throwing nobody out there. But Pena's still out. It's that every Astros injury lingers way longer than it's crazy. Another tough one, Jac Caglianone, injury there, 10-day IL with a left hamstring strain. Jeff, he's been really bad, and now he's hurt. Is he a drop in leagues?
How long do we think he's out?
So he had a quote that says going to be short and sweet. He thinks he's been back, and they seem like it's pretty minor. My thought after reading that was to hold on to him. I do think he's hitting the ball. He's hitting the ball hard, just not enough fly balls. But I held on to him. I think that it's still long enough in the season where if he misses 2 to 3 weeks, I still think I want him on my team.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm holding, but man, it's tough. The Royals, take a look at their depth chart. They are hurting in the outfield right now. It's not just
they must be because MJ Melendez is back in our lives.
Yes, he is. They traded for Randall Grichuk too.
Yep.
They're down Caglianone. They're down Canna. They're down Nick Lofton, Michael Massey. They're hurting. And some of those guys can play elsewhere too, but that's just a lot of accumulated people. That means Kyle Isbell and John Rave have to play. So yes, of course they're going to go trade for a Rainer. They've added Grichuk. They've added Adam Frazier. Be still my beating heart. This is a team that's all kind of in.
They're heavily buying right now. It's huge
for them. They are heavily buying.
Good spot for good segue here. The next guy on the list is Kris Bubic. Really bad news here. 15-day IL with left rotator cuff strain. All the quotes on this sounded really bad. He's like, it's pretty much like my shoulder's been hurting all year. I've been dealing with this for a while. Velo was way down the last few starts. I think he's an easy drop. It sucks if you have him. He's been great, but I think you won drafting him already this year. I think he's a drop. I don't know if we see him again this year.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's not as bad as Grant Holmes, who went on the 60-day now. So
yeah, that was a quick one. Yeah, hey, right elbow inflammation. They didn't know how bad it was. All of a sudden, there was the note today: 15-day IL for Grant Holmes.
Yeah. So brutal break there to lose him for the 60-day like that. But at least they did it on Sunday instead of Monday, so we know to drop. I think that was really important there. To go ahead and get that there. But I did drop Grant Holmes in the first of the leagues where I could in the RotoWire Online Championship. That was a pretty much easy drop there. So unfortunately, the Braves' entire original starting rotation is now hurt, Scott.
They have Strider and that's it, right? It's just nobody.
Strider was on the IL to start the season. So yeah.
They signed Eric Fetty this week.
I think didn't they just trade for him today?
Did they trade for him or whatever it was? Yeah, they acquired Eric Fetty either way, which is a pretty good sign how desperate you are.
Yeah, Sale, Schwellenbach, Holmes, Reynaldo Lopez, AJ Smith-Shawver. I think he was technically the 5th starter, but that's a lot of decent pitching gone. And Strider, and he's not really Strider right now either.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild when you look at their rotation this week. Fetty, Joey Wentz, Waldrop maybe is going to get called up. Bryce Elder. It's tough. It's just one of those years for Atlanta. Just everything went wrong. It's just been a mess.
It really has. Really disgusting. Yeah. And
it feels very 49ers 2025, right? Or 2024 season right now. The way everything just goes sideways and wrong and everybody's hurt.
Yep.
Exactly how I felt that last year.
Yep. Season from hell sort of stuff there. And every once in a while you get that, and it stinks when it happens. And, they kind of had it on the offensive side last year too. So it's not like this is they got to the playoffs last year, but they had it, and they're still not hitting well as a team. That's the other problem.
Yeah, Michael Harris had a good week this week for like the first time pretty much all season long.
Yeah. Did you hold on to him?
I don't have him in one 12-teamer. I actually picked him up. So that's the only spot I have him right now is a league where I actually fabbed him.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. A couple other IL notes. Ha-Seong Kim sucks. If you held him or picked him up, he's right back on the IL with a lower back strain. Jorge Soler, another guy, lower back inflammation for the Angels. He went on the IL. We talked about Landon Rupp earlier, 15-day out for right elbow inflammation. Although they said the imaging was good, they're hoping for a min stay, as you mentioned before. I doubt we believe that, but do you think Rupp is a hold in a 15-teamer right now?
No, I don't.
Because I dropped him in 12. I think that's a pretty easy one. 15, I thought was a little tougher.
It is if it's a min stay, but how many? Again, I'm very distrustful. And what's your upside, even if you're right? It's still kind of a fungible, do you start him or not sort of guy, depending on the matchups. He's a streamer at best, I think.
Yeah, one of those guys where it's the ERA has been really good, but the whip has been really, I think his whip's like 1.43 or something like that.
Yep.
A couple of good notes. Byron Buxton, who left Saturday with some side tightness. The MRI showed only irritation. Sounds like he's day-to-day. Obviously, that's a big piece if you have him on your team. So definitely check those news. Minnesota does play tomorrow. They're home against Boston, so we should get some more news on Buxton then. Jeff, Adley Rutschman's back. Who knows if it's going to be good? I hope it is. It's been a bad Adley Rutschman so far, and then he got hurt. But he's supposed to be activated on Monday for the Orioles.
Yep. Let's hope it. Yeah, just baseball's better if he's good and healthy. So, yeah. I hope he's good and healthy.
Other catcher news, Alejnadro Kirk placed in the concussion IL. Got to get a replacement there. Jeff, Bailey Ober is back in our lives. Sounds like his next start is going to be in the majors. His AAA rehab was actually pretty good. I think he had 1 run over 9 innings. If you held Bailey Ober or picked him up, are you starting him this week? Home against Boston, maybe on Wednesday or later in the week at Cleveland.
Please be Cleveland.
Yeah.
Although home maybe is better. And here's the thing. Boston does strike out. So, get him in there. They're much better in Fenway than they are on the road too. So yeah, I'm starting him probably, but then again, I hate using pitchers in their first start back from an IL spot. Yeah. I have to use AL Tout Wars. I'm going to use them because it's an AL only league, and a 12-team mixed. I would probably sit.
That's where I land. I think in a 15-team, I probably would take the risk just because the rehab looked good. But I'd much rather have Cleveland. They have scored 120 less runs than Boston on the year, so I would rather have that, even though it's a road start. I think I'd rather face Cleveland. But Dylan Cruz starting his rehab assignment on Tuesday. Good news there. Jeff, Blake Snell, 4 2/3 scoreless innings in his 4th rehab outing. Do we think Blake Snell's next start is with the Dodgers?
I do. I think the Dodgers desperately need it.
So similar question to Ober. Are you starting Snell in his first start off the 4 rehab outings?
Let's see. I'm looking to see when
probably at Tampa on Friday.
Revenge game. Yes, let's go.
I think I am too. It's good and so good that I think I'm just, if you held him this long, I think you got to just stomach it and throw it out.
I had to think about it for a second because it's been such a long absence. There's really unlikely that he's going to go 5, but could he get you 7 strikeouts in 4 innings?
Yeah.
Is that good enough? Given the pitching landscape? Yeah, probably is good enough.
Jeff, good question in the chat. Since we're talking about Adley Rutschman, would you rather have Drake Baldwin or Adley Rutschman the rest of the way?
Yeah, good question by Parker Lee on this one here. I barely Adley, and it's only because I think he gets more playing time.
My answer is going to be barely Adley because of playing time too, but man, Baldwin has got a 50% hard hit rate, 11.5% barrel.
Yeah,
he's been really good. They're DHing Murphy some too. I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going to go Baldwin by a very small margin.
Okay,
kind of wild.
I accept that.
Kind of wild. That's even a discussion in the middle of July, but it's where we are.
Yep.
So let's talk about some FAAB this week. There wasn't a ton of it, but we will get there. But first, a note from our sponsors at Home Run Forecast. Can the weather really help a baseball travel farther? Turns out, yes. The air can affect how far a baseball carries by up to 20%. Home Run Forecast uses real-time weather data to rate each game's conditions for ball flight, assigning every matchup a 1 to 10 score based on how home run friendly the air is. On the premium site, you'll get game-by-game, hour-by-hour index values, 24-hour forecasts, wind direction, roof status, and more, all for less than $6 a month. Check it out at homerunforecast.com and gain a weather edge before first pitch. So, Jeff, I feel like it was the second week in a row where FAAB was a little muted this week. There weren't a ton of huge ads. We didn't see a ton of. There's a lot of games, a lot of speculation plays, a lot of reliever stuff. We will get that at the end. There's a lot of guys I want to talk about there, but offensively, someone in the chat mentioned Josh Jung earlier as a reason that the Rangers come around a little bit. He's back. He was available in like half the main events. He was probably my biggest name on offense, but what were you thinking on offense this week? I was having trouble finding hitters I really wanted this week.
Yeah. Before I even say a quick clarification, thanks to Rob for pointing this out. Baldwin's played the last 10 games. So I go Baldwin too.
Yeah. And they're just Murphy's DHing because he's been so good
over Adley. So yeah, I retract. I'd like to revise my dumb statement and say that I think it that way. Josh Jung's been great. If he's out there, grab him. And I know there's a lot of risk with him, but you're trying to find difference makers in a 15-teamer. I think it's pretty simple to say yes, pick him up if he's available. This is one of those weeks, Scott. In my online championship, I picked up a player that's been widely dropped, and then in TGFBI, I picked up a player that's been widely dropped. Matt Shaw and in one league and Kyle Manzardo in the other.
Both off good weeks too. They both were really good this week,
which is why I probably Mr. Recency bias that I am that I did that. But I was aggressive on both. Again, I was starting Abraham Toro in one of these leagues. I was starting Wilmer Flores, who was great for a few months, but that train has stopped bringing joy. It's time to make changes there. So at least these guys are playing a decent amount of coming off good weeks at least.
Yeah, I like the shot. I liked him coming into this season, and we've talked about it many times. Like hitting baseball is hard when you first come up. There are countless Hall of Famers and studs who were bad their first time up too. I mean, Shaw was 21-31 in the minors last year. Like there's a lot of. He has 13 stolen bases too in only 71 games. Like if nothing else, he's running. The steals are there. He's starting to come along. Plays in a really good offense. I like that as an ad. I think that maybe he just starts to figure stuff out. He settles in a little bit. The playing time is there. There's no pressure right now. He's hitting down at the bottom of the lineup. I really like that ad. I think that's one that's going to work out. I think that I liked him if he was available in the league.
Yeah, I did too. So that I was aggressive. I spent like 77 and a 12, and I think I won 77 to 24 because of course I did. But that's actually a very competitive 12-teamer, and I'm getting my butt kicked in there too. So I need to keep on grinding there. But Manzardo had 2 homers this week also. And again, I don't really fear the playing time. And again, it was trying to replace something that was pretty unproductive. So in both cases, I thought it was important to be aggressive.
Yeah, Manzardo has some power up, so he's going to sit against some lefties. But and especially in a league where you play half weeks like we do in the NFBC, you can really kind of time Manzardo a little bit, which is pretty nice. What about some of these young guys? The same kind of theory that maybe the first time up was a little bit rough, but Colson Montgomery and Brice Matthews both only 25% roster, which is kind of wild because young guys always get picked up, but they got picked up and dropped. Matthews had a good week this week. He had 3 home runs. Colson Montgomery strikes out a lot and coming along pretty well. Is actually hitting well. Do you like either of these guys in kind of if you need a middle spot this week?
Matthews had a couple big games in Arizona.
He did.
And a couple big hits, good defensive play. That's something they've been lacking all along. But he did get the day off. The second time in the series, he was 1 for 12 with 7 strikeouts over the last 4. So I was still thinking about that. The Arizona games and at least that splashy 2-homer game that he had. And then since then he's done very little. So I get it. But some interest in him. He's a prospect of some ilk. In fact, James Anderson has him 73 in the RotoWire prospect list. So check that out. You can check out James just updated, by the way, our prospect list there, with all the first draft, first year player draft players that have been added. Use promo code YouTube15 to get 15% off any RotoWire subscription. Check out that new updated prospect list.
Yeah, I like that too. Colson Montgomery's interesting. Like, I think we were so worried about the strikeouts because he struck out so much in AAA, 34%. We're like, he's going to get to the majors and strike out 42%, but he's at 25% right now, 24.6%. He actually hasn't been striking out. 3 home runs in 18, I guess 19 games after today, only hitting 258. But I'm intrigued by the fact that the strikeouts haven't been there. However, his swing strike rate is 18%. Like, I think that number is going to fly up. As I was getting more interested in looking at him, I flipped over that swing strike rate. I think the strikeouts are going to come really fast, really hard. So I was kind of leaning a little bit more towards Matthews right now, but I think both guys are mildly interesting and should play. Matthews, I guess, depends on the injuries there, but Montgomery's locked into playing time.
I like that he's walking like a walk every 3 games, basically. Yeah. I'll take that from a guy with his profile. You really have to grind to really watch the White Sox closely because I mean they're out of the public eye, and a lot of this series, like they swept the Pirates a weekend ago, like no one noticed probably, but certainly when you Chicago notices when it's Cubs, White Sox, obviously, but you really have to kind of dig in on a team like that.
Yeah, they're at least they're 38 and 68. They're going to win more games than last year, but yeah, it's still a pretty rough watch. Who else would you like on offense? In these veteran guys like Masataka Yoshida in Boston, Ryan Mountcastle maybe coming back from injury in Baltimore, Jake Fraley. We talked about how the Reds are home for 5.5 games. We're going to call 5.5 games this week. Anybody else you like? Because I found the offense really tough this week. There are names here and there, and I was grabbing guys. If Tommy Pham was available, Tommy Pham's hit like 360 over the last month. I like that. He's about 54% rostered in the main event. Chase Madroth, I always mispronounce his name, coming along after another rookie that started slow, coming along these last couple of weeks. He was 65% rostered. I was kind of just picking and choosing a few cheap guys, but there were not a lot of offensive guys I was spending a lot of money on.
I got one more. We took a flyer on Joc Pederson in the main. Texas gets 7 games this week. 6 of them are against right-handers.
Was activated today, correct?
Yeah. So, granted, 4 of those games are at Seattle against Kirby, Gilbert, Castillo. He misses Wu at least.
Yeah.
And Evans is be the other one. But this Texas offense is playing better as a whole. Yeah. Why not? It doesn't hurt much to take a chance.
And everybody bring up his batting average, but his BABIP was 152, and he was striking out less than 20%. So, like, he was still hitting the ball pretty hard. Barrel rate was a little bit lower than normal, but still 43% hard contact, lower than he normally is at. But he had 23 bombs last year in 132 games. I think very much worth a flyer, and I mean, should play in every game against righties, right?
Yep. You would think so. I mean, unless he gets hurt or flops again. But it was a cheap pickup. Why not take a chance? He is UT only. That's the only big negative about him. So
you got Brent Rooker off the UT only. So you're good.
We can go another one. Get back on that train. Yep, because it worked so well for us before.
I saw Kyle Schwarber playing left field today. Was that his first game in left field?
These are questions. I do not.
Oh no, he's up to 6. I would love to get outfield eligibility for Schwarber.
Some leagues that's good enough. Some leagues it's only 5.
I don't know if that 6 is including today or not. But if he up to 7, that he could get there by. If he gets to like mid-August, like 6 weeks of getting him out of UT would be pretty nice.
Jeff Campbell asked about Johnny DeLuca and the rest of the Rays outfield.
I like DeLuca for speed. I just don't know how they're going to play their outfield. They got a lot of guys there right now, and Chandler Simpson's playing really well. So I think he's kind of earned everyday playing time. But I mean, DeLuca had 16 steals last year in about 100 games. I like it. I don't know how they're going to work out all the playing time issues there.
Yeah, I don't either. That's always the Rays way. We always have to deal with that.
And I'm looking at like he's a righty, so when a righty pitches, you're going to get Mangum in there. You're obviously going to get Aranda in there. You're going to get Josh Lowe in there. You're going to get Simpson in there. It's just really tough. Like that suddenly is all the spots. Yanni's going to DH, and you're like, there's just no play. It's hard to get him into games versus righties. I think he's a good defender, which helps too, but just hard to get. And righties is 2/3 of the games. I don't know how he gets in on the lineup against righties most of the time, most games.
Yeah. It's really going to require a trade. You're kind of speculating on a trade.
Which should certainly happen with them. And that would, there are a lot of teams like that this stuff could just really open up this week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a fair point by Jeff Campbell. Josh Lowe has been rough. There is no doubt about that, but I do think he'll still keep playing against righties, but it's been very quiet. You're only at 6 home runs in 59 games.
Yeah. One other note, I got outbid for Taylor Trammell and his services in Houston in the AL Tout Wars today. I got outbid on every hitter I tried to put a bid on in there. That one there, that was fun. Even Randall Grichuk, for crying out loud.
I had a bid in the main event where I had 8 names in because I was just trying to drop Jorge Soler, and I got outbid on all 8 guys.
I
just had guys in there. I'm like, I just wanted to get rid of Soler and make sure I have an extra bat on the bench, and literally every guy got picked up. It was it's great. Leagues are active. Even if people are drafting football, I like to see that. I like to see that.
I do too, except for when I get posed like that. That's all.
Of course, there too. But
yeah.
What about starting pitching? I think relievers again. We're going to talk about in a second, but where most of the FAAB action were. But did you like any starters this week? I was really impressed with what my JT Ginn did over the weekend in his start. I've liked him during the course of the year, and it seems like he's kind of locked into a spot now for the A's. I think he's gonna be in the rotation now. He's facing Arizona next weekend. That could be a depleted Arizona team if they trade some guys. That's after the trade deadline. I really liked what Ginn has done so far. His K-minus walk is really good. He was kind of the main pitcher I was looking at adding. I do know he plays in an impossible park. That is the one downside of Ginn, is that pitching half his game second round, it does get tough.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of cooled my Jets a little bit there. Yeah. I didn't find a whole lot of love out there. I mean, looking for love in all the wrong places apparently, but we did add Justin Verlander. Now that he has one win, he's worthy of picking up.
And he faces the Pirates this week, so that's a good matchup at least.
Yeah, we won him 15-12, so yay us.
Oh, good efficient bidding too. That's solid.
Yeah. Yep. So that was one. I was looking at Troy Melton. He had a really rough debut, but sneakily hidden in there was 7 strikeouts in 5 innings and a lot of strikeouts in AAA. So I
was going to say sneakily hidden in there is the huge strikeout numbers in the minors. I forget where I read about him this morning, but I looked at him. I mean, you're talking 37% in AAA so far this year in strikeouts. I mean, that's a crazy strikeout number.
Yep. Phil Dussault in our main picked him up. The robot wins again, outbid us on that. But I do. I try to go uber cheap on him, so shame on me as far as that goes. But the thing is, you don't know if you want to use him or not this week. He does have 2 starts. One of them is against the Phillies, though. So that was kind of the thing that was like kind of keeping my bid price down. But it's more like what if this works? And he gets a rotation spot on a good team, but he gets Arizona at home and then at Philly, and then home versus the Angels next week. So could go a couple different ways, because the Angels might be sellers at the deadline too.
And I think the theory is you're hoping for like 12 to 14 strikeouts, which is a pretty big week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that name. I'm glad you brought him up. That was kind of it though. If you're in a 12 teamer, if you wanted to risk Patrick Corbin, he has 2 starts this week at the Angels at Seattle. I was mildly interested in Mike Burrows in Pittsburgh. He's facing the Giants this week. Just someone that kind of, if you need someone to eat some innings, he's all right there. But it's tough going as you look at the pickup list. There are not a lot of starting pitchers on this list. Burrows was added in 26 leagues. Ginn was added in 48. And you kind of get nobody else is added in more than 20 leagues. It was really slim pickings this week in the starting pitcher market.
Yeah, it was. Patrick Corbin's actually pitching pretty well right now.
Yes. Yep.
Nobody ever wants to believe, but first of all, one thing is people. I think we really need to highlight how much of a pitcher's park Texas has been this year, especially suppressing right-handed power, which obviously fits Corbin quite well as a left-handed starter.
Yeah.
I don't know. The 3-year trend on it suggests that this isn't bankable, but it's been extreme this year. Like the second toughest place for right-handers to hit home runs in. So that's something to point out there.
Someone mentioned in the chat asking about Cam Schlitter. He has potentially 2 starts, although I guess it maps out if someone comes back, if Luis Heel comes back at the end of the week. But he would get Tampa and then at Miami. I think he was taken in most main event leagues, so I didn't really look at him too closely this week. But
sure.
If he's available, I would take a shot on that this week.
Yeah, some strikeout upside there. I mean. Yeah. If I'm running the Yankees, I keep him in the rotation, and to hell with Marcus Stroman's emotions. I would get him out of that rotation. He's just no good.
Yeah, he was not added in any main event league because he was taken in all of them. He was added in 13 online championships between $1 and 41. So there was definitely some activity there. Yeah, if he's available, I would definitely grab him. Someone else asked about Rich Hill. Any interest in picking up the 45-year-old? My answer to that was no, thank you.
No, I just developed a super blister just thinking about him.
Oh man, I missed the days of the super blister.
Yes.
Kind of amazing he went out there and threw 5 innings at 45 years old, though. You got to give him some props.
I think he had 1 strikeout and 2 walks in that stretch, or it might have been 2 and 1 the other way around against the Cubs, no less, too. That's the thing that I was pretty impressed with. He does have 2 starts this week.
Revenge game against the Cubs.
Revenge against half the league, dude.
That's true. That's a fair point. So let's talk relievers. That was where a lot of the pickups were this week. What did you do with the relievers? We had the Orioles. We got the Dodgers. Felix Bautista went in the IL. Tanner Scott went in the IL. We don't really know how long. His quote about wanting to pitch before the end of the season was really seemed really dark. But it seems like the imaging came back pretty well. So I don't know if that's a little bit better. But clearly they're going to need somebody. They probably are going to mix and match, as we know. But Red Sox potentially also if Chapman's hurt. Like we've got some teams that there's probably some spots opening even before the trade deadline happens.
Yeah, so let's start in order here. Start about the Orioles. I may have mentioned this. I got Kittredge in AL Tout Wars for $3 out of 1,000, so that was pretty good. Let's see if it works. Soto's already been traded away.
Yep.
Bautista's hurt. Sir Anthony Dominguez is nominally, I think, the first choice. But I also think he's a good bet to be traded by the deadline. I think Kittredge is actually better, and I believe the team has the option on Kittredge. Check me if I'm wrong on that one there. I think he still makes him an attractive candidate to be traded. He could get dealt too. I don't think Yanni or Cano is as good as those two. And Dominguez was already rostered. That was the other important consideration in that league. But it was worth a cheap flyer on Kittredge, I thought, because he's good. I think
that was be my point. Is you look at the last 5 years, he doesn't have an ERA over 3.2. Like he's been a really good pitcher for many years. Obviously, most of those with the Rays, and then with the Cardinals last year. But yeah, I think you're going to go this spot. You're going to look for somebody. I think you want to get the guy that's really good, and then hope it falls out right. You hope they could trade Dominguez and Yanni or Cano. Like if they're going to get markets for those guys, they're going to try and move them. I don't know if they have a market for those, but I guess they could trade pitchers as well too. So there's always that possibility. But if you're taking a spec play. I think that's a good one. I mean, he's 35, but I mean, who cares over the 2 months there? But I like that as a spec play.
Yeah, indeed. Let's talk Dodgers here because obviously there's saves to be gained. Kasperius even got one on Friday. After I saw him in person on Tuesday, and he couldn't throw a strike, Scott. And he limped off. They talked about that. I thought, he's definitely getting. I think he's definitely going on the IL, and instead. He not only does he not go on the IL, he gets the save. I think I cut him in an NL-only league after that. I think don't base your emotion, don't cut based on emotions from watching a guy in person. That was a stultifying game on Tuesday against the Twins. 12 walks by Dodgers pitchers.
Good word, by the way. That was nice. Yeah.
Thank you. But in one league, TGFBI picked up both Trinan and Kirby Yates. They both happen to be available. I think this is going to be a while for Tanner Scott, is my guess.
My guess as well.
I have Scott in that league too. I did not cut Scott yet. I don't know who's it going to be. I think it might be Yates this week and Trinan next week, or it might be Yates one day and Trinan the next. We'll see. And unless Trinan gets hurt again too. I mean, it's Dave Roberts is underrated for his Kevin Cash-like qualities in managing the bullpen.
Yeah. I don't think there will be a guy. Crazy enough, I was like, oh, well, is Alex Vesey, can he strike anybody out? He's a 36% strikeout rate this year. Like he does strike guys out. If I'm hearing anyone, it's Blake Trinan. I just think Blake Trinan has been really, really good the last couple of years. I think the Dodgers really like him. I think they would love to use him. He was 193.94 last year in 46 innings. I know the year before he only threw like 5 innings, but even you look at 2021, I was mentioning 2 years, the other one, 198.98. This is someone who has his chance to go out there and throw a really elite 2 months. His stuff is nasty. I know he's 37 now, but was still, so far he had 8 innings this year. He still had a 28% strikeout rate. If I'm doing anybody in this bullpen, I think it's Trinan, I hope, for 60% of the saves, and that would be a huge score. I don't know if he can get that, but they don't seem to want to use Yates in that role. If I'm reading, anything between the lines here,
he did get the save. Yates did get the save against Minnesota on Monday, if I recall correctly.
But that was the game where Tanner Scott got hurt and had to come out mid inning too. Yeah. So
I think your analysis trumps my notice in there about Trinan. So I think you're right about that.
Yeah. And again, I don't think anybody's going to be the guy, but Trinan would be the guy that I want in this pen. And I bid accordingly today too.
Okay. I got both in one. I'll probably use Trinan. I hope it's Trinan. I think that's the one to invest into, but I got them both just in case.
We talked about him too much this year, but man, Dustin May just cannot get it done.
I don't understand Dustin May. He looks good for 3 innings, and then he looks horrible again.
He has stuff that like you're like, this guy should be really good. Like most guys that throw like that have some great outings and look really good. It just doesn't. I don't know. His swing strike rate's 8%. It seems crazy to me with his stuff. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work. And it's the knock has always been can't get swing and miss, and it continues to be the knock.
Correct.
Yeah. So what about Boston? Let's say Chapman misses a couple weeks. I think that I know they said day to day, but if something happens, Jordan Hicks is the next guy. Do you like Garrett Whitlock? If you had to grab someone here on a speculation play,
I'd say Hicks. I think they prefer Whitlock in the multi-inning role that he has.
Agreed completely. I think that's the key point is I don't think they want to move Whitlock out of his role. He's really good at that role. I think they just want to keep him there too.
Yep.
So what about playing some spec plays based on whether guys are going to get traded? Do you have a preference? If Kyle Finnegan gets traded, we maybe got a Jose Ferrer there in Washington. You talked earlier about a Ryan Helsley trade. Maybe we get some Phil Maton there. Bednar, Kenley Jansen might get traded. We got Reed Detmers, who's been really good behind him. Maybe Robert Suarez gets traded in San Diego if they wanted to move on from him. You got Jeremiah Estrada, Jason Adam there. Is there anybody that you really, really like as a spec play this week? Because there are going to be a couple of these guys that are going to be next week. We're talking about getting big bids. It's going to happen. There's going to be trades. There's going to be guys that fall into jobs. Was there anybody you liked especially taking a shot on?
So I think Ryan Helsley is a really good bet to get dealt. Yeah. More so than Suarez in San Diego. San Diego is a wild card team right now. I don't think they sell. I know there's been Dylan Cease rumors. There's been some Suarez rumors. I know they have some depth in that bullpen. Yeah, Adams, someone you can use even if he doesn't close. He's just that good. But I don't. Washington's tried to trade Finnegan for years, and then they always come crawling back to signing him.
Crazy they didn't trade him last year, by the way. I still can't.
I just don't think there was a market for him. I just don't think anybody buys the. I think we've come a long way saying, well, he's a closer. He's got a bunch of saves. Therefore, he must be good. I don't think anyone thinks that Kyle Finnegan's that great. So that's why I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. But going back to St. Louis, I think Maton is interesting, but he also might get dealt himself.
Yep.
I mean, how many times do you see it? He's 32. He's easily could be someone that they could just turn around, see what they could get for him. It's a 1-year, $2 million deal. So think about that. He's so tradable. A team like the Texas Rangers, for instance, there
also with Maton, like legit really good. He's having a really good year too.
Exactly, but also the Rangers, they're doing everything they can to avoid the CBT tax, the next level in the CBT. Maton fits perfectly for what they need. So the sneaky name for me, and I agree, but Maton's the guy if he stays. But Kyle Leahy's someone you want to keep an eye on too. I know they've stretched him out at times. He could even be a rotation sleeper. He's last four outings have been stretched out. If they go a different way, I think he could be a decent closer too. It may be that they want to start him, which is kind of interesting. McGreevy got knocked around really good today. They just put him in the rotation. They just trade away Fetty. But, looking at the Cardinals farm system too, we're expecting decent things this year out of what's his name? Matthews.
Quinn Matthews. Stanford Cardinal pitcher right there.
Take a look at Quinn Matthews' walk rate.
Is it bad?
Avert your eyes. Don't look at it. It's that bad. I mean, lots of strikeouts. Great. So many.
God, you weren't kidding. It's 20%.
I was looking at him just earlier today because I have him in the RotoWire Staff Keeper League, thinking, and I got him in the reserves instead of the minors, thinking that he'll pitch halfway through the year, so it's okay if he's a reserve and not a minor. Ooh. I mean, the strikeouts are still there.
You said that, and I thought we were going to get like 13%. It's 20%.
Yeah. Avert your eyes, man. It's tough. 52 walks and 59 strikeouts this year. I mean, it's wild.
And AAA, he has 54 strikeouts and 48 walks. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is
a lot last year. He walked a lot last year in a brief taste of AAA.
That is unmanageable if you get promoted to the major league. You can't. He get killed with that.
Yeah, exactly. But he spent some time on the IL too, so there might be some connection to that. Basically, it's kind of a wash of a year, though. I mean, we've seen guys turn around their career. I think of like a Mackenzie Gore type that look. Maybe he was never this extreme, but you can get turned around. It's not over. You always look for the guys that can miss bats, see if you can get them to find a way to get it down to like below 10% on that walk rate.
Do you think the A's trade anybody? They're so far back and they have so many interesting players. I just don't. They're all so young, except for Rooker. They just signed Rooker to an extension, so I think he wants to be there. They want him to be there. It's it's weird. You have a team that is out of it that doesn't really have any trade pieces. Like Severino's contract is hard to trade, although they could do it. It just eat some money. But they just
I was just going to say, don't look now, but Severino's had 3 good starts in a row.
Yeah, and he wants to be out of Sacramento. He hates pitching there so much. But
why did he sign there? I mean, I guess that's the
I give you 67 million reasons why he signed there.
Yeah, I guess. And the league was kind of like, hey, you want this rev share money, right? You better go sign somebody.
Yeah. JP Sears has a good start earlier in the week, maybe, but like it's just weird that you got a team that is kind of has only interesting pieces, but not really any trade pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
unless they want to trade 27-year-old Mason Miller for a ton, which would be a really interesting move. Probably a move you don't really want to make as a team, but probably the smartest move you could make.
Maybe, but yeah, probably, I guess. And he's still on 1-year contract, so it's not like they even got him that extension either. So maybe that's the route. But they already shut down Miller talks before, so I'm just saying, this is a Godfather offer sort of guy. I think the Twins relievers more likely get dealt than Mason Miller.
An interesting one too. Yeah, if they trade Duran, and they could trade Duran and Griffin Jackson, probably get a lot for both.
Yeah,
two of the best relievers on the market if they wanted to make them available.
Keep in mind, Minnesota's trying to sell the franchise too. So, and I think that there's been some progress as far as that goes. It's hamstrung them all season long. I think that would be logical for a team like that to sell.
Is there any team that can make like some kind of crazy shock trade? I hope we get a couple because I love the trade deadline. I hope we get some stuff like, I didn't see that coming.
Well, I mean, earlier this year we had the Red Sox trade Devers out of spite. So, I mean, anything is possible.
Fair point. Yeah.
It's unlikely that we see like a massive name get dealt. I feel like Eugenio Suarez, is probably Merrill Kelly might be the most likely. As Suarez would almost certainly has to get dealt, right?
I mean, I would think so. I mean, if you trade him at the top of his value, you're out of it. You're selling. You have.
He's a free agent. He's a free agent. You got to trade him.
Although we said last year, there's a couple of guys we said that about. Like you have to trade him, and then he ends up on the team. But I mean, Suarez has to get.
Well, I mean, I remember the Pace Eaters extending Daniel Bard instead of trading him. I mean, that's the canonical example of just dunce. That's level 2, 3, 4.0 dunce level there, but. The Royals already preempted the Lugo talks too. Byron Buxton preempted any of my dumbheaded suggestions about the Twins taking calls because he said, don't take those calls because I'm going to say no because I got a no trade. I should have known that before suggesting it, that there was a no trade. That's the one thing I don't have a firm command of. I just shoot off at the hip and then I look at the contract later. But because that matters. It obviously matters a lot.
You know who's kind of hit himself into trade discussion right now is Josh Bell in Washington. That would be an interesting ad. I think he's only signed for a year, $6 million.
He's traded every year, isn't he?
Yeah, he's traded every year, but he's hitting 320 the last month. I think he'd be an interesting piece as well. I think he gets moved on this week too.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the Nats really should be dealing. We haven't heard as much talk about the Marlins being sellers because
they're playing good baseball.
They are. They're 3 games under 500, I think, and they're ahead of the Braves, comfortably ahead of the Braves now.
Yep.
So the Braves, let's talk Braves. Shouldn't they? Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, they've lost every single pitcher known to man, but
they're the fascinating team because they have massive names on offense.
Yes, they do. I think Snicker's got to be on firing watch here. He's got to be on a hot seat too. Big changes, I think, have to happen with the Braves because this is 2 bad years, offensive bad years in a row. The pitching got them to the playoffs last year, but remember, they were slaughtered in the first round of the playoffs. I think that this is a team that really has, and they've got a corporation as their owner too. So it's kind of a bottom line thing a little bit too for this team. They may have some, I don't know if they have in the way of hitting prospects left up to kind of supplant some of these guys. But think about what they could get for Austin Riley.
Yeah.
Signed long-term, so he's not even that expensive. Never going to trade Acuna, but maybe someone wants to take a chance on bringing Ozzie Albies back from the dead. I don't know.
The thing with Albies too is his contract the next 2 years are club options at $7 million. So you got to figure a team takes that on, but he's essentially could be a free agent after this year. I'm assuming that someone would take him at $7 million because that contract is so team friendly, but he's an interesting piece because he's done very, very little this year, very, very little last year after the monster 2023. That's an interesting name.
Yep. Red Sox are no longer considered sellers, obviously. At one point in time, we're thinking about Bregman or Chapman getting dealt. Those are clearly long gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be, hopefully it's fun. I love the trade deadline. It's always, that last hour is always a lot of fun trying to figure out where guys go. Usually I'm at the spot where my relievers get traded into setup roles, which is never fun. So I'm just hoping to avoid that. If Helsley gets traded, I just need him traded to a team that he can close on.
That's why you pick up a bunch of setup guys this week. So that you can say that you're on the right side of history.
Yeah, I picked up Reed Detmers where I own Jansen just in case. I don't even know if I don't know if the Detmers would close, but you want to at least try and preemptively to cover your guys, but it's tough with short benches too. It's hard. There's only so much you can do.
Yep, and we got an interim manager with the Angels too, so trying to figure out what they would do it's already hard enough when you know the manager. When you're trying to figure out
absolutely,
that it's even harder.
I didn't know how to spell Zephyr John, so I couldn't go pick him up.
There you go.
So I want to thank everybody for listening, everybody for commenting. The chat was on fire. There was a million questions there, so we really appreciate that. It was fun to see everybody kind of talk amongst each other. Other than that, we should have a lot to talk about next weekend. There should be a very busy FAAB period with all the all the guys who fall into jobs or fall out of jobs. There should be a lot of interesting ads and drops next week in FAAB. So next week's show should be a very interesting and a lot of fun. So look forward to that. Look forward to everybody having a really good fantasy week. Do you have something else there, Jeff?
Yeah, I just want to mention we're going to do a special trade deadline reaction show on Thursday the 31st. Also, me, Eric Halterman, I believe James and Ryan Boyer as well are all chiming in. There's going to be a bunch of us. Eric's going to lead the show, so I think that's going to be 7:45 Eastern time, 4:45 Best Coast. So
after the trade deadline.
Yes, just kind of a
the deadline like 1:00 Pacific. Is that usually what it is?
Something like that. Yeah, it's usually when it is.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you everybody for listening. We really appreciate that. We'll be back at you next week. If you could rate or review the podcast, we appreciate that as well. Other than that, hope everyone's a really good week and a good fantasy week, and we'll be back at you next Sunday night. Take care.